Charles Edwin Wiggins. He was born July 15th, 1897, in Evansville, Indiana. His father was a coal miner, and his mother died when he was just 9 years old. Although a very smart boy, Charles left school at age 11 to help earn money to support his family, working as a shoeshine boy. Luckily, he worked outside of a car dealership and became fascinated with everything cars. He watched the mechanics repair cars by looking through the window between customers. In 1917, he got his break when several mechanics joined the World War I troops in Europe. Charles persuaded the dealership owner to take him on as an apprentice. Wiggins exceeded expectations and earned the lead technician position over the remaining white crew members. In 1922, Wiggins moved to Indianapolis, the U.S. car racing capital, and got a job as an auto mechanic. And when the owner retired, he bought the shop. A gifted mechanic, Wiggins was remarkable at diagnosing engine problems from listening to the engine running. He was so well known that he had black and white customers. But Wiggins caught the racing bug. In his spare time at the shop, he built a racing car from junkyard parts at his garage. He had no sponsors, but he was a master mechanic. In 1924, seven Indianapolis businessmen, five black and two white, came together to start the Colored Speedway Association, a black racing series that traveled the Midwest. Their championship race was the Gold and Glory sweepstakes. This was an event that drew major crowds as large as 15,000 spectators and national newspaper coverage. Charles Wiggins' car was not ready for the first race in 1924, but he was there for the 1925 lineup. The Gold and the Glory was a 100-mile dirt track race held at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. It was described as a brutal event, and the victory was the moral equivalent of a victory in the Indianapolis 500, where black racers were not allowed. Let's go to the races. Hear the account of Lyndon Conrad Bell for ROT, Road and Track. The year was 1926, and it was a perfect afternoon for racing in Indianapolis. Sparkling in the sunlight, the cars were neatly arranged on the grid. The unmistakable fragrance of racing fuel permeated the air. Anticipation was high. When the green flag dropped, the roar of the cars was nearly drowned out by that of the sold out crowd. The race was on. The fastest drivers immediately charged to the front, jostling wheel to wheel for the lead in their sleek machines. Meanwhile, young Charles Wiggins, in but his second appearance at the storied event, positioned his homely looking Wiggins Special on the inside of the track and settled into a steady pace. Driver after driver passed him until by the 40th lap, the sophomore had fallen to 10th place. His supporters fell silent. It looked like the hometown favorite was about to go down in defeat. Then, on the 60th lap, Wiggins made his move. Wild applause erupted from the Indianapolis natives as their hero passed car after car after car to secure second place. For the next 10 laps, he dogged the leader in an unrelenting battle, pushing the front runner to drive his handsomely crafted machine harder than ever to stay ahead of Wiggins' cobbled up car. Coming off of turn 4 to head into lap 71, Wiggins finally gave his engine full throttle and blew by the leader right in front of the grandstand. The onlookers leapt to their feet, screaming wildly. Humiliated and intent upon real taking the lead, the man chased Wiggins for another 4 laps until he looked down at his fuel gauge and realized he'd been played. Wiggins had engineered his car to run on a highly efficient mixture of oil and airplane fuel. Further, by laying back in the early laps, he had also conserved his tires, while all the other drivers had to pit to change tires and refuel. Wiggins ran the entire race without stopping and took the crown. Wiggins won the Golden Glory sweepstakes race 4 times between 1926 and 1935. This was when he earned the handle Negro Speed King. When he was not winning, Wiggins never finished lower than fifth position. His talents got the attention of white racers. IndyCar driver Harry McQuinn asked Wiggins to loan him a car for a race in Louisville, Kentucky in 1928. He agreed on the condition he drive the tuning runs at the speedway himself. But when the white spectators in Louisville saw a black man driving, they were so outraged that they stormed the pits. Wiggins was arrested for his own protection and charged with speeding. Bill Cummings, another well-known IndyCar driver, hired Wiggins in 1934 to tune his racing car for the 500. Wiggins had to pose as a janitor to get around Jim Crow laws. He swept floors during the day and worked on the car at night when nobody was around. The announcer speaks excitedly. Let's hear how this race turns out.
Here at Indianapolis, it is reported that there aren't any serious accidents in the race, but it still can't be described as uneventful. Finally, Wild Bill Cummings passes Maury Rose to win by 27 seconds. As usual at Indianapolis, the winning car has a Miller engine, one of the most successful racing engines ever built.
This turns out. Thanks to Wiggins' skills, Cummings won and set a track record. But there is no mention of his contribution by this announcer. Wiggins' racing career came to a tragic end in 1936 at the Gold and Glory sweepstakes race. During the second lap, another driver's car sped out of control, causing a 13-car accident. Wiggins sustained injuries that required the amputation of his right leg, and he lost his right eye. The rest of his life, He endured constant pain, and his injuries never fully healed. Medical bills cut into his money, and late in life, he was virtually penniless. But Wiggins continued to work in his garage, training young mechanics and mentoring young drivers. He died in 1979 after yet another infection in his damaged limb.